They crossed the line together, 3 Triumph TRSs side by side, a carefully staged photo finish. But it wasn't victory, it was a cover-up. All 3 cars had suffered catastrophic power loss. Not one TRS met their efficiency standards and thus had their results removed from classification. Their radical twin-cam engines, nicknamed Sabrina, had failed. And across the paddock, a lone MGA twin-cam, entered by a privateer, ran faultlessly and won its class. The car MG had already abandoned outlasted Triumph's works team. It was humiliating. The autopsy began immediately. In the aftermath of World War II, Britain was a nation rebuilding. At Standard Triumph's, survival meant being creative. There was no budget for bold new engines. Standard Triumph had no competition prototypes to build from, no high-revving, race-proven twin-cam engines in stock. But they did have something else. A tractor engine, the same 2-litre block used in the Ferguson TE20, helped launch the Standard Vanguard and then the TR2. Triumph's wet liner block was rugged, cheap and familiar. Engineers coaxed out more compression, more carburettors and just enough performance to stay in the game. But the truth remained, it was agricultural. Designed to plough fields, not challenge alphas at Spa. In 1959, Triumph created its first twin-cam engine. The head was brilliant. The block was still agricultural. Nicknamed Sabrina for its shapely cam covers, the engine represented hope, a genuine sports car power plant born from necessity and compromise. Le Mans 1960 was supposed to be Triumph's moment. Instead, it was a debacle. Valve seat failure silenced all 3 entries. The MGA, not even a works team entrant with a discontinued engine, won its class. Triumph's only answer? A photo stunt. 3 broken TRSs crossing the line together for the press. The real finish line was shame. And so, with their collective tails between their legs, the Triumph team returned to Coventry. They learned the failure issues and rebuilt the engines, this time with improved valve seat metallurgy, and the next year returned to Le Mans. This time the Sabrinas performed flawlessly and all 3 TRSs finished. The Sabrina worked, and with it came opportunity. The upcoming TR4. Giovanni Michelotti's TR4 was modern, wide, confident, and it was ready for more power. Triumph planned to put the Sabrina into production. Prototype tests were run. The specs looked promising, but then Triumph blinked. The Sabrina was expensive. Its past failures left a mark. MG's twin cam had bombed, and the US wanted torque and simplicity, not revs and complexity. So Triumph shelved it. The TR4 was launched with the same old engine. Still strong and still agricultural. With 150 horsepower and high revs, it could have been a British rival to Alfa and Porsche. The TR4 twin cam could have redefined Triumph. It could have led instead of chased, but in the end it was just a pipe dream. Triumph chose the safer path. With the TR4 they trotted out the tractor engine again. Later, the beautiful Michelotti-designed TR5, known as the TR250 in North America, was introduced, bringing smooth 6-cylinder torque sourced from Triumph's overhead valve 6-cylinder Vanguard saloon. The TR6 was bold and brash design-wise, but underneath it was still the old TR4 chassis. By now, the parts bin had become the engineering department. Reuse turned into a rut. The GT6 struggled with handling because it still rode on herald bones. The Stag's V8 was ambitious but unreliable. Even the TR6 was just a Carman designed body mounted on a ladder frame with a pushrod 6-cylinder engine. Triumph had stopped innovating. It was just in survival mode. As part of British Leyland, Triumph became a committee brand. Project stalled. The TR7 was late, underdeveloped and poorly built. The badge remained, but under British Leyland, the soul of Triumph had long since checked out. Finally, the shape of things to come, TR7 was a technical and sales disaster. And now, Triumph is no more. Triumph's story is not one of failure, but of limits. Limits of money, limits of risk, and limits of how far you can stretch an engine that was never meant to race. Still, Triumph endured. From muddy fields to motorsport glory, it made legends from leftovers. In every TR engine's rumble, you can still hear it, the heartbeat of post-war Britain, and maybe the faint echo of a tractor somewhere in the fields.